What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight, undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford is 39 wins, no loss, and no draw. 30 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. He responds back to the news that has been revealed today that his biggest rival and undefeated three-belt unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not #1, definitely top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, in Errol the True Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr., he holds the WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champions and titles. He has a record of 28 wins, no loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Terence Crawford got wind of the news today that everybody else, that Errol Spence is going to be possibly facing off against former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who was 30 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 69-inch arm reach, in April, and at junior middleweight, 154 pounds, okay? So it's not going to be at welterweight, okay? It was initially stated that Keith Thurman, he was the WBC mandatory challenger for Errol Spence Jr. at welterweight, okay? WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, board of 32 members, they stated that Errol Spence has to defend his title against Keith Thurman. TGB, Tom Brown Promotions, they even stated that they petitioned the other bodies that Errol Spence holds to allow him to be able to face off against Keith Thurman in his next fight. Errol Spence has 3 mandatories, which is WBA regular champion, undefeated Lithuanian star boxer Amanda Stanionis, and he also has the IBF mandatory challenger and undefeated welterweight superstar title contender Jerome Boots Ennis, okay, and obviously Keith Thurman. So this is going to be a non-title fight, okay? Now, obviously, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, they make for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, okay? They couldn't get a deal. They couldn't strike a deal for 2022. Looked like they was looking forward to 2023. Errol Spence, he suffered another horrific accident December 10th, the same day Terence Crawford made his ring return against David Avanesian on BLK Prime. And with that said, you know, Errol Spence suffered another accident. He was going to announce, he stated just 3 days after, so it looks like December 13th or 14th, he was going to announce his fight with Keith Thurman, and looks like he's going to move to 154. So Terence Crawford, he responds to this news. Terence Crawford had put out a tweet and a statement, and he said, for Errol Spence, who stated that, you know, Terence Crawford, he was going to spin the block and come revisit a fight with Terence Crawford. Errol Spence looked like initially when he stated that he'll be back in May or June, right? Now he's saying he'll be back in April. So Terence Crawford responds. He said, quote, "Yup, I know." But he put the "what can I do?" chucking his hands up, right? And the fact that this fight is at a catchweight, is at a weight of 154. The WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza, he stated that Errol Spence is going to have 60 days to make a decision if he's going to fight Terence Crawford. If he's not, he's going to be, you know, fight his mandatory and Stanionis Virgil Ortiz winner, or he's going to be stripped of the title. The IBF is giving him 120 days after his fight with Keith Thurman to make a decision or be stripped of the belt. And so he has some decisions to be made. It just seems like this is the time that Errol Spence should be negotiating again with Terence Crawford to get a deal done. I don't understand the move to 154 to fight Keith Thurman. They both fought at 154 at one point in time. But to go to 154, Errol Spence said that he's been at 147 for 10 years and that, you know, it's getting difficult for him to make the weight. To go 154, I don't see Errol Spence coming back down to 47. And if he does, he's running the risk of his body not responding in the manner he's wanted to respond in the biggest fight of his career against Terence Crawford. I think that Errol Spence is going to beat Keith Thurman. I think he's going to stop Keith Thurman by the 8th round with body punches. I think he's just going to wear down Keith Thurman. I think that Keith Thurman is going to use a lot of movement in this fight, and that's the reason why it's going to even get that far, okay? But nonetheless, I think Errol Spence is going to win the fight. Now, the question remains, Errol Spence, he hinted at that he has no issues with fighting fellow stablemate, close friend, 3-time junior middleweight world champion, who's the undisputed junior middleweight world champion superstar boxer. And that's Jamel Lyons Only Charlo, who has 35 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 6 feet tall with a 73-inch arm reach. Jamel Charlo has a mandatory challenger in Australian star boxer title contender Tim Tszyu, the son of legend Costa Tszyu. Jamel Charlo suffered a broken left hand, which saw that fight postponed. It was supposed to actually take place January 28th, but it got postponed. So with that said, we don't know what's going to be next for when's the next date for Jamel Charlo, Tim Tszyu. But Errol Spence, he stated that he wouldn't mind fighting Jamel Charlo. He'll fight anybody, right? And he's, again, on numerous occasions stated that, he can't make he's not easily making 147 pounds. He never missed weight, but he's not easily making 147 pounds. Even when two-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Garcia moved up to 154 in his last fight and took on Jose Benavidez Jr., Errol Spence tweeted out that extra weight. I know that extra weight felt real good, right? So he's been, flirting with the idea of going 154 for quite some time. So I don't know how much it is realistic that he'll come back down to 47 to compete against Terence Crawford, or are they going to just simply fight at 154, right? Errol Spence has expressed that he didn't have much interest in fighting Keith Thurman, right? We know that, the PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor Al Heyman, this is a match they've been wanting to make, okay? They put up numerous polls with who wants to see, asking the fans who want to see Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, to which Errol Spence responded, PBC need to take the L out of the lover. I'm not fighting Keith Thurman. It's over. He also responded and said, when I said never, I meant never. He's never fighting Keith Thurman. Well, he's changed his stance, right? And now he's going to fight Keith Thurman 154 for a non-title bout. It would make more sense for Errol Spence to negotiate and fight Terence Crawford right now, fight for undisputed, and then after they fight for undisputed, Keith Thurman fight will be there at 154, seeing as though they're not fighting for the belts. He's fighting at 154 pounds. Keith Thurman is on record saying that he wouldn't mind going to 154 to make some fights happen. So Keith Thurman would be there for Errol Spence, right? Because Keith Thurman essentially is not fighting for the titles. So it just makes more sense to fight for all the marbles against Terence Crawford. Okay, get a deal done, strike a deal, and let's see it happen, right? Terence Crawford stated he wanted to make his ring return April, May. So it just makes sense for them to fight each other. If you're not going to fight Keith Thurman and defend your titles and you're moving up to 154, go ahead and handle and finish business at 147, right? But nonetheless, this looks like it's going to happen. Now, the date of April, I'm not sure that this fight is going to take place in April because there's been many conversations that there's going to be a highly anticipated showdown between Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, point blank and period. And with that said, that fight is seemingly on the verge of happening April 15th. And Keith Thurman, Errol Spence going to be a pay-per-view fight. Then I don't see Keith Thurman and Errol Spence fighting on pay-per-view in April. And Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia fighting on pay-per-view in April as well. Okay, one of these fights is not going to be fully supported, if that to be the case. So with that said, we got to see now what's next for Terence Crawford, right? If I'm Jerron Boots Ennis, I make myself the WBO mandatory challenger for Terence Crawford right now. Terence Crawford doesn't have a fight. He doesn't have an opponent. It makes sense. Petition the WBO, become his mandatory immediately, period. So Terence Crawford responds. He said, yeah, I know. Well, it is what it is. It's the sport of boxing. So let's see how this all unfolds and plays out. But April, I just can't see it happening in April unless Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia is not happening in April. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.